All right, what is up, everybody? Welcome into today's edition of In the Game. I am your host, Hustle, and as always, we're going to be diving into the markets. And a lot of people, we see the narrative shift so much in crypto. We went from gaming, and then there's AI, and then there's real world assets, and then there's all these different things that people narrative hop to. What are the next narratives that I see right around the corner? And honestly, I can see these developing over the next couple of weeks with a big catalyst in this side of the market. And last time that this was a news headline, this side of the market did really well. We'll go over what happened the last time that we saw this trend occur, and then the tokens that I am looking at to potentially have some gains. And then we'll go through the gaming market, some of the dips that I'm potentially looking to buy, and we'll go over kind of everything that I'm looking at. So without further ado, let's jump in the game. And as always, guys, drop down, hit that like button, and subscribe. We're super close to 90,000 subs here on In the Game. We are looking to be the biggest crypto gaming channel on YouTube. So like and subscribe down below. Tell a friend if you've made gains over this little run from 25K up to 43 with these gaming altcoins that we've given out. Like and subscribe and tell a friend. And then, like I said, this show is sponsored by some amazing products and projects here on In the Game. We have 𝗗𝗙, we have Vulcan Forged, 𝗗𝗘𝗧𝗏, Dreams Quest, Game Starter, and then NordVPN. So we've always had a NordVPN affiliate link down below. But one thing, Nord is giving a great discount to anyone here on Banter, on In the Game, that signs up for, I think it's a percentage off of the year or something like that. So check that deal down below. I use NordVPN all the time to navigate through the space and just kind of, keep my stuff private, keep my data private. So check out NordVPN down below in the description. Let's jump into the market. We're seeing a little bit of a recovery here. We just hit 43K. We had that big sell-off after the ETF, which made sense. Ethereum still sticking around that 2,500 level. And we'll keep an eye on Bitcoin while I'm recording this, because Bitcoin did just take another jump to 43,100. So we will definitely keep our eyes there. But there's a lot of big dips in the market across some altcoins. The narrative has definitely shifted as far as the public from gaming to other narratives. So right now there's some pretty juicy deals across the gaming markets, which we'll talk about here in just a second. But we're going to jump right in to the main point and the main topic of this show is, what are the narratives that you should be looking at in the short term, maybe over the next 2 to 3 weeks? What is a narrative shift that we could see happen? So if we look at the gaming side of the market, right, let's just go to 7-day charts. We have some gaming stuff still up tremendously, between 40 to 100% here. Shout out to Game Starter, one of our sponsors here, for example. They've been crushing it on the week. There are some gaming coins still getting some love in the market, but when you look at the 7-day, there are a lot more in the red than there are in the green. So the question is, so right now the public attention has definitely shifted from gaming to other narratives like AI, real world assets, different layer ones and layer twos, airdrop farming, all this stuff that's been happening in the markets. The one thing in gaming that is still sticking around is gaming NFTs. Gaming NFTs are still crushing it. Like we said last show, and we said it on a Twitter space this last week, it is mint everything season. Like everything that's minting that comes with a token airdrop or something like that, like they're absolutely crushing it. So the gaming side of NFTs is definitely still the main narrative at this point in time, but the token market has shifted away from that. That provides us opportunities on gaming to get cheaper accumulations. Some of these projects are taking hits, getting back below these certain market cap thresholds that I deem to be very bullish for long-term accumulation. But right now, I think we're about to see a shift potentially to the AI/Metaverse narrative. What is this? What is the catalyst behind this? The Apple VR headset. Now, if you've been within the game long enough, we called this out in the summertime, as we see here, when they revealed the Vision Pro on it was June 5th, 2023. Let's use Render as the example. All right. So on the 1-year chart leading up to June 5th, from this like late March area, once we kind of heard the rumblings that Apple VR was going to be debuted at their summer event last year, this thing went from $1.15 all the way up here to $2.65. And this market cap is big. Like, this is not a small coin. So at that point in time, it was moving a few $100 million in market cap to get up to those levels. So it was a 2x plus at that point in time. And it did play out to be a sell the news event. Render didn't really have anything going for it until that recent run up in Bitcoin, where, you know, they are kind of like this leading AI GPU computing type of coin. And we saw Render absolutely crush it. And I've been a long-term holder of Render. We, started accumulating, I think it was $1.70, kind of like back here. And then this thing ran up to 2+. And then we saw this thing kind of dip back down. And now we're at 380. So this one's run quite a bit, but the timeline here on the Apple headset lines up, and it was definitely a sell the news event. Another one like Wilder World, this one went from 24 cents up to 54 cents. So over a 2x once again on this one. And that was leading up exactly to the day, June 3rd. And then after that, we saw nothing but downward momentum because it was a sell the news event in most regards. And the market wasn't in a great spot. It was just the AI metaverse type of stuff that was really moving ahead because of that headset. Then we saw the big run that it had from 18 cents up to 64 cents during this last rally. It has now taken a hit, but I deemed this event, the Apple headset launch, to maybe be bullish for some projects. So a couple of things to keep in mind here. Vulcan Forge, for example, shout out to Vulcan Forge, one of my favorite projects in the space and one of our sponsors here on In the Game. They have a game on the Oculus, so on the MetaQuest store, etc. And you can go in there and it's a VR game and you can download it on your MetaQuest and you can play it right then and there. It's live now on the Meta store. So they could probably bring an experience over to the Apple VR headset. We saw back in the summertime, Wilder World was teasing that they would bring an experience over to the Apple headset. So I'm going to leave Render on the sideline for this specific topic. Now, could it run back up to $5 because of this narrative? Maybe so. But because it's a 1.4 billion, 2 billion fully diluted, I think there's other plays that could move more aggressively in this market. So as a longtime holder of Render, obviously I'm super bullish, and I think that this could rocket Render in some sort of a way. But we're already quite up on that position. And at the same time, it's a larger market cap. It's going to take more to move it. So let's shift towards more metaverse narrative stuff, right? The VR, the AR, the headset stuff. We all know that people were talking about, you know, this is the future of the metaverse, right? Well, what are some metaverse projects out there that you could maybe isolate and try to take some positions leading up to that VR news? So, I mean, we're seeing here, this one took a big jump to start the year. This is Root Network, but I still think this one has a long way to go. And honestly, if we look at the all chart, that first candle did start way, way higher, and it has taken a bit of a dip. It has grinded up steadily, but I do think that this one has so much potential with this VR headset narrative. And why is that? Well, just last week, like this was literally 11 days ago, that they announced the Readyverse. Now, Ready Player One, me on the thumbnail, for example, that's like Ready Player One, the cover of Ready Player One with the guy with the headset on. They jump into the metaverse. This movie kickstarted the metaverse back in the day, like before the Meta Facebook thing happened. And now we're going to be seeing they are bringing this IP to the real metaverse. So Ready Player One is now the Readyverse, and this is backed by Root Network. This is going to be built on the Root Network. And Futureverse has so many different experiences with Fluff World. They have everything they're doing with ASM. And this is honestly, if you haven't looked into the Futureverse, the things that they're doing, it's very, yeah, there it is. That's me on today's thumbnail, for example. So Warner Bros. Has partnered with AI company Futureverse to make Ready Player One a real thing. So I think the Root Network has to be one of the top plays if the metaverse narrative catches on here. So this is right now, we're not seeing it happen, but I think leading up to February 2nd is the key date that we could see some of these tokens definitely heating up. So the Root Network is one. And then I'm going to keep it simple. I'm just going to give you two that I really like leading up to this narrative. This one's Wilder World. So Wilder World back in the summertime did this big run on the Apple headset reveal. but they did tweet at that time the Apple logo, and they were talking about how they're planning to. I wouldn't be surprised eventually if Wilder World does something on the Apple VR headset, some sort of experience. And if you look at the graphical appeal, they just did their devlog 3. There's a lot of good updates in here. And I actually played the first experience of theirs at Art Basel this year. It was their racing game. And as you see here, the open world, the environment, the controls, everything that you see in the game, I really thought it was impressive. And this is just one facet. This is just the racing side of it. But the world is very well curated. It's called 𝗗𝗡𝗡. It's like a remake of Miami. But I have to say the graphics, everything about it, the open world game looks fantastic. I'm excited to eventually jump into that experience as well. But this is a metaverse powered, as they say, by the Wild token. And it has taken a significant dip since the 64-cent level. I could see this one definitely catching some fire leading up to the Apple headset. And we all know how marketing goes in this space. Wilder World definitely marketed around the Apple headset last time, and they might do the same this time around. So I would keep my eye this time around for the Apple launch, potentially for the Root Network and Wilder World. Now, the Root Network being with Ready Player One, that just gives me so much, I don't know, hope. I don't want to use the word hope, right? That's a bad word to use. If you're hoping for something to happen, it's probably not going to happen. That gives me a lot of ambition or inclination to think that they're going to probably do something with the Apple VR headset. Ready Player One and Apple VR, that has to be a match made in heaven. So I'm looking at the Root Network and Wilder World leading up to this on February 2nd, as we see here. It's hitting physical stores. They're going to be starting taking pre-orders in just 4 days from now. Okay, so keep your eyes on this narrative. I think it's definitely the next narrative to potentially come into the fold. And if it doesn't, then it doesn't. And I don't see too much downside from these things at the moment in time. But Metaverse did not get love during that run that we just had. The one thing that didn't, right? We saw AI have a good run. We saw gaming have a good run. But Metaverse kind of just lingered. And some of them did good, but they weren't like these crazy gains that we saw across the gaming space. This could be the time where Metaverse, like Wilder World and the Root Network, kind of take their center stage and really make those gains. And then let's talk about a few gaming coins. Now, everyone narrative hops in crypto. I tweeted this, L1s to L2s to gaming to AI to real world assets. Now it's probably going to go to Metaverse for this Apple release. But eventually the gaming narrative, it's going to have the control of like the highest user counts and the real use cases in Web3. It's just a matter of time. Eventually, we're going to have 50 plus games that people are just playing every single day, streaming every single day, making content on every single day, potentially earning or trading, their valuable assets. We have so many experiences coming live this year. It's hard not to be bullish on gaming. And even though the attention span of people in crypto is just what's going to give me the most return right now, right? That narrative hopping, it works if you're quick. But if you stick with narratives that are long-term winners, I think you're going to make more than just narrative hopping from every single shiny object that you see out there. Shiny object syndrome is real, and especially in the crypto markets. And that's why I have a long-term time horizon. It beats short-term time horizons 100 out of 100 times. And let's just take the bear market, for example. All this last summer, we were buying up cheap gaming altcoins. People were calling us stupid. They were calling us crazy. But I wasn't looking to make money on those tomorrow. I was looking to make money on them in the long term. And then we had that unprecedented run to end the year because of the Bitcoin ETF. And then gaming altcoins got absolutely rocketed. So that conviction paid off. And that was because we had a long-term time horizon, okay? And that's exactly why we're going to win in this market. There are some great opportunities opening up for buys on this post-ETF run now that we're seeing a dip. Pick up some gaming coins when they bleed and set yourself up for a prime time bull cycle. And speaking of prime, I think Prime's a top tier buy at this point in time. It's down 25% this month. They have Parallel Colony coming up, AI gaming, like I mentioned last week. I think it's going to be one of the biggest narratives of 2024. So I'm looking at Prime. I'm looking at Dubs, 75 plus partnerships. This is GambleFi and GameFi kind of combined. Esports wagering here on the Dubs platform. Right now, they're with Web2 games. Imagine the sentiment of 75 Web3 gaming communities coming through the door using Dubs every single day for their wager matches. And Dubs is going to benefit on the back end because they do have a fee, which they're going to be taking off these wagers. And then the project makes money that's using Dubs. So it really is a win-win situation. And at a 38 mil market cap, this one's definitely getting very, very cheap. I mean, if we look here, this one hit $7. And now it's down 44% on the month. I think this one's just simply oversold. Honeyland is one once again. I think that there's a lot of profit takers on this right now, right? This one, we called it 6.5 cents and it went up to 27 or 33 cents. Yeah. And now people were taking profits and it makes sense. Solana sold off a bit and Honeyland kind of took a dip here, but once again at a 30 mil market cap. And I've spoke with the founders. A lot of this diluted market cap is vaulted. It's not going to be sold. It's not going to hit the market. So it's one of those tokens where the market cap definitely, I think, is undervalued. They have great active users. They have great marketplace activity. All of their assets are doing really well across the NFT markets. And they have a potential gamified event of some sort. I'm hearing rumblings. So definitely, I think that'll be a big catalyst to bring in more liquidity, speculation, and users into the Honeyland app. So I also think this one's a bit oversold from profit takers. And then the low cap play of the show, 10 million market cap here on Unix. Unix, they own the _.gg brand. And on top of that, they're moving over to Avalanche C Chain. I think eventually they might do the whole subnet play. They have a lot of liquidity to potentially revamp the Unix platform. I think that this one's a sleeping giant. I know if you look at this chart, it got beat up. They launched at the very top of the last bull, but I've spoke with the team here. They have some big plans to really bring in more games, more use cases, and really make this thing, tenfold what it was before the next bull run. So I'm looking at Unix at a 10 mil market cap as potentially a super undervalued play. When it comes to GambleFi, so like the niches, you guys know, I'm very much into the niches of gaming, GambleFi. And then I would say AI, gaming and AI, the kind of the merge of those types of things, as well as the metaverse. I have a few metaverse plays, like we said at the beginning of the show. But I'm looking at Based to continue its growth, 19 million market cap. And this one is also fully diluted, just like Dubs is. And they just did a revenue share today. They paid out $51,000 to their stakers. And now every single week, they're going to be doing these things. So weekly distributions. So next Sunday, January 21st, they're going back to weekly distribution. So they're paying out the stakers weekly. So if you stake your Based tokens, you're basically like an owner of the casino, which I'm very bullish on. So this one right now, I think, is my top casino play. Alongside stuff like Winter Protocol, that partnership with xAI. By the way, this one's been ripping. It took a big hit on TGE, and the market cap here is large. But I got to say, I'm impressed with the price action on xAI. They partnered up with them. I'm pretty excited to see what happens with Winter and xAI. But nonetheless, this is the top casino project on Arbitrum. And once they officially migrate over to Solana, I think they're going to control a good amount of market share between ARB and Solana. Virtue Poker over at TTOO, branding up here and behind me and everything like that, my NFT collection. We ran a tournament yesterday with VPP, had great feedback. The community had an amazing time, $2,000 in prizes. So shout out to the VPP team for putting that together for us. And at a 6.9 million market cap, with how great their platform was, genuinely, I think this has a lot of upside. And then my Solana casino play is definitely 𝗗𝗏𝗄. 𝗗𝗏𝗄 has gotten a lot of liquidity today. And as I said, this one's a buy the dip token. Every time this thing just dips, it rockets back up because people are buying up these every single dip on this chart. So those would be my casino plays: Based, Winter, Virtue Poker, and 𝗗𝗏𝗄. And then leading up to this spring, I think that Crown, Third Time Games, is I think that this one is one you need to take a look at. Official partner of the Kentucky Derby. Once the Kentucky Derby comes around, I think that this one's going to be in by far the front of the pack when it comes to these like horse racing products. And I think it is for like by far at this point in time. And I think just like Honeyland and just like a couple other projects, this one's just completely oversold at this point in time. And I see on the side here, for all you Becker fans, you need to learn to research instead of buying everything he mentions. That is true as well. But we've been covering Crown for quite a long time here. If you've been on the channel, you know that this one's been at the forefront of our horse racing list for quite a while. I think it laps, no pun intended, this horse racing product in Crown laps stuff like D-Race or Pegaxi or anything like that we've seen in the past. So this would be my top play leading up to the Kentucky Derby as well. So I'm looking at Root Network and Wilder World as far as the Apple VR headset launch metaverse narrative. And then from there, I think Prime, Dubs, Honeyland, Unix, Based, Winner, Virtue Poker, Kaneko, and Crown are pretty solid accumulations at this point in the market, and have that long-term time horizon, guys. So like the metaverse stuff, that's a shorter term trade, but we're positioning that to be a shorter term trade. Now, with everything else on this list, the gaming stuff, this is a long-term play. And I have more than the confidence in the world that every play we talked about today is going to materialize in the bull. But the people who can stick through the hard times, the dips, the consolidations, you're going to be the ones that make the most in this market by having that conviction today. So guys, be sure to have that conviction, stack those bags, accumulate those cheap coins on market cap perspectives, and just make sure you separate your short-term bags and your long-term bags. And that's how you're going to find success in this market, not by narrative hopping, but by hopping in the narratives that you understand the most. For Christ's sakes, everyone out there in this market, they're looking for the next big thing. But the one way I will tell you I've made my most successful trades, my most successful swings, long-term or short-term, is in the stuff that I understand the most. And if you're here on In the Game, what I understand the most is crypto gaming. So gaming, GambleFi, Metaverse, those are my bread and butter, and I'm going to stick to it and keep making my hay on that side of the market. Instead of just going to the next shiny object, I stay in my lane, and the liquidity comes back time and time again. And we'll just wait for that liquidity to come back, that big next game launch, etc., that's going to move money back into the gaming markets. Quick shout out to some sponsors here. Like I said before the show, if you're looking for a VPN to use, NordVPN down below in the description. And as we see here, GameStarter, one of our newest sponsors, they're partnering up with AOF, Army of Fortune. I've spoke about Army of Fortune a lot. I'm looking forward to their token launch. They're going to be doing an airdrop to their NFT collection. So they are doing a strategic partnership here with the AOF verse. I'm very bullish on both of these projects, and GameStarter has really taken strides forward since the last 𝗗𝗘. They have their Storm Warfare IGO. The registrations are now open. Storm Warfare looks very cool. We talked about this on the Friday show. This is going to be on the 22nd and the 23rd, so about a week from now. So if you are on 𝗗𝗘 and you're staking that S fund, go ahead and head over there, pre-register for the Storm Warfare IGO. And that's going to be it for us today, guys. Like the video, subscribe. I'll be back on Wednesday with another show. As always, play well, my friends.